All right, can I have everybody's attention, please? Good evening. We will now call the Palm Beach County School Board meeting of August 21st to order. Mrs. Bass, please call the roll.
District 1, Barbara McQuinn.
Here.
District 2, Chuck Shaw.
Here.
District 3, Karen Braille.
Here.
District 4, Erica Whitfield.
Here.
District 5, Frank Barbieri.
Here.
District 6, Marcia Andrews.
Here.
District 7, Deborah Robinson. Absent.
All right, we have a quorum with 6 board members present. Also in attendance on the day is the Superintendent Dr. Donald Fenoy, General Counsel Julie Enrico, and Inspector General Lung Chu. And joining us for the first time this year is our student representative, Jaden Manuel, a senior from Royal Palm Beach High School, who is the Palm Beach County Student Council President. His Student Council Advisor, Mrs. Chelsea Riddle, is with him tonight. Also welcome Jaden and Miss Smith. At this time, I'd ask everyone to please stand for presentation of colors and the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Jaden. Here to present the flag is the Lake Worth Community High School Air Force Junior ROTC.
Team, hold, left, face, present, arms. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Singing the national anthem is the Wellington Community High School Chamber Chorus.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave, Right, face, forward, march. Left, 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 right, left.
Thanks again to the young men and women from Lake Worth Community High School and Wellington Community High School Chamber Chorus. I'd like to once again remind all who will be speaking today that this meeting is being transcribed in real time so it can be viewed with closed captioning. Please speak at a reasonable pace so that transcribers can fully capture what you are saying. First item on the agenda will be the approval of the minutes. There's June 5th, and the minutes they're all from June 5th. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Motion by Mrs. Andrews, seconded by Mrs. Whitfield. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. We have 2 items added, Mr. Superintendent, BRD 3 and P3.
Yes, sir. Those are 2 items we're adding for good cause.
The good cause exists for the adding of BRD 3 at this time in order to comply with recent statutory requirements that requires prior approval of board member out-of-county state travel over $500. And with respect to P3, good cause exists to add this item so employees can start in their new positions as soon as possible. Mr. Superintendent, any items to withdraw?
No, sir. I have nothing to withdraw at this time.
Board members, we have 1 item that's been pulled from the agenda so far, SW1. Does anybody else want to pull anything at this time? Seeing none, we need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion by Mrs. Whitfield, seconded by Ms. Brill. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Are there any disclosures or abstentions? Seeing none, Mr. Superintendent, your comments to the, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. And a special welcome to our new student representative, Jaden Manuel. Jaden, we look forward to you working with us, and it's going to be a great year. Jaden and to all of our students played a vital role in making the start of this school year one of the smoothest in recent history. Students showed up ready to learn on the very first day. And so again, congratulations to our entire district staff. I commend you for a job well done. School police department, you did a remarkable job. The district promised that all 179 district operated schools and all 52 charter schools would have at least one armed officer on campus on the first day and every day, and we kept that promise. Here's a recap of the first day of the 2019-2020 school year.
A new school year in Palm Beach County.
Happy back to school, everybody.
Starting with lots of goals.
What's your name?
Goal 1, student safety. While on the bus and at school.
This is just not an operation that happens during school hours. Our teams work together 24 hours a day.
School district police and agencies throughout the county teaming up to make sure there's an armed security officer on all district and charter campuses every day.
That's why we do drills together, we train together, and whatever my resources are his, and vice versa.
All right, Mom.
Goal number 2, welcome students to school with enthusiasm and smiles. Even high fives from the 15-year-old rising tennis star, Coco Gauff. Greeted students at Village Academy and donated more than 150 backpacks. Now to goal number 3, celebrate the accomplishment of last year's goals.
We chose to start at Jupiter L today because we just want to celebrate the fact that the school went from a C to an A in 1 year.
A major goal also attained in the Glades. No D or F schools for the first time in 20 years.
Our goal this year for Lakeshore Middle School is to continue to improve on the success that we had last year in student achievement.
An especially big accomplishment for Gladeview Elementary, which jumped 2 letter grades to a C.
It's exactly the look we wanted.
Goal number 4, introduce students and families to their school's new principals.
So joining this amazing school has just been about me learning their customs, learning their culture, and fitting myself in to what they already have established.
Another major goal, improving our schools. Thanks to the penny sales tax, that goal continues into this school year as crews work on a brand new school for Verdi Elementary and Okahili Middle School students enjoying their updated building. Home to one of the top international Spanish academies in North America, where students in AP Spanish can earn college credit. Above all, our main goal is teaching students.
Absolutely, and there's even more great news. Our district recently received the 2019 Making Strides Together Award for Excellence in Education. This prestigious award recognizes districts that have worked diligently to improve student achievement. I would like to acknowledge several staff members who contributed significantly. Diana Fetterman, Dana Godak, Mark Howard, Carlene Millen, and Ed Tierney. Thank you for your dedication. I have a couple of them. Give them a round of applause. I have a few more shout-outs this evening. It gives me great pleasure to congratulate District 6 Board Member Marsha Andrews on the well-deserved recognition she received recently from the American Legion Post 390 in Wellington. Ms. Andrews is recognized for her dedicated service and the activities that she supports for the American Legion programs. Let's give her a round of applause. I also like to acknowledge Dr. Johnson, who serves our district as a Director of Choice and Career Options. She was one of just 7 selected nationally to serve in this honorable position during the investor ceremony at the Pentagon. Dr. Johnson is the civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army. Again, as a military child, a parent, my father spent 22 years in the military. Thank you for serving our country, Dr. Johnson, and let's give her a round of applause. And now I would like to invite our Deputy Superintendent Keith Oswald to the podium to help us welcome the new principal of Forest Hill High School.
Thank you, Dr. Fenoy, and good evening, board members. I know I said last month I wouldn't be back, but congratulations to Dr. Stratos and the opportunity that she's taking up there with Dr. Rodriguez. And I'm pleased to announce tonight our new principal, pending your approval, for Forest Hill High School, Esther Rivera. Esther Rivera?
Good evening, Chairman Mr. Barbieri, Vice Chairman Mr. Shaw, school board members, Superintendent Dr. Fenoy. I am extremely honored and humbled to have been selected as principal of Forest Hill Community High School. I would like to sincerely show appreciation to Mr. Pegg, Mr. Tierney, Ms. Wetzel, Dr. Sanders, Ms. Haynes, and Mr. Oswald for their support throughout my career. My family, who's here with me tonight, and whose endless love and support have allowed me to continue to aspire to new heights. With much perseverance, work ethic, and continuous dedication to the community and students of Palm Beach County, I can truly say that sigo alcanzando mis metas y mis sueños. I continue reaching my goals and my dreams. Dr. Fenoy, thank you for entrusting in me the opportunity to continue the legacy that Forest Hill Community High School has made in Palm Beach County. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we're looking forward to continued great work at Forest Hill. And lastly, what I'll say, to our over 2,200 teachers with less than 5 years of education, time in the district, another 2,200 teachers who have 5 years or better, and for another 7,700 teachers who have over 10 years. On Friday, the supplements are coming. And so our teachers deserve this. I want to thank this board and this community for making this available to our teachers. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my comments for today.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Board member comments, Ms. McQuinn.
So many wonderful things happening to open school, and I think, well, we'll never thank you enough, but I think we have thanked all of you for making a great open of school happen. I do want to share with you that the week before our students reported to school, I met Mr. D'Amico, principal of Watson B. Duncan Middle School, at the airport with several of his teachers to welcome an exchange teacher from China who will be at Watson B. Duncan this year teaching some of the Chinese language, but the culture. And very exciting to me was that there was a small instrumental ensemble comprised of a brand new ninth grade program at Palm Beach Gardens High School. They were instrumental music, and they welcomed, much to the concern of airport security, but they were really gracious to our students, who welcomed our teacher from China. The cool thing is that I asked the students, well, where did you come from 8th grade? And we had a student from Bear Lakes, John F. Kennedy, the Conservatory School, and Watson B. Duncan Middle School. So it was such a great group of students who've come together so that we can offer strings as a continuation, as a temporary stopgap from the Conservatory Middle School. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McQuinn. Ms. Whitfield.
Thank you. First of all, I just want to say welcome back to everyone. I got to say, summers are boring without all of you here, and I miss you terribly, so I'm so glad we have everybody back. I've been visiting at a lot of schools in the last couple of weeks, and it's just been such a pleasure to see the joy and the excitement for learning on the children's faces. I asked all of them, if they were thrilled to be back in school, and they really resoundingly, at least at the elementary level, pretty thrilled. So I'm really happy to have them back. And have all of our teachers, and I'm so glad everyone had a good summer. And so I wanted to talk about two quick issues that I think are of importance to me coming up in this year, especially the first one, which is an item that is on our agenda this evening for approval by the board, which is about our upcoming census. It's something that we are doing basically an approval of saying that we are going to work to make this census happen. this is really important, and I didn't want to pull this off the agenda because really what I want to do is show my support for it and really verbally ask that everyone in the community help their community members to fill out this census. It is a time of stress among some of our family members in the community. It's a time where they feel insecure about stating who they are and where they live. And so I believe it is on our schools, which is what we're saying in this document, but I want to say it out loud even more, that it's on our schools to help this to happen, because without that, we will not count the people who live with us and therefore not receive the funding that we should receive from the government. So we really need to be proactively going after families and trying to assure them that this is, against the law for anything bad to happen to families that come and apply and record their existence here in the census. So I think that is a very important thing. And I would really like to ask our principals to help us with that. The second thing I wanted to mention is as we are welcoming all of our students into our traditional K through 12 schools, that we really put an emphasis on making sure that every student in the community attend a VPK or a pre-K program. This is really, when I look at our low 300 schools, the schools that are struggling the most, the schools that traditionally have lower grades within our community, this is an area where we can have the biggest impact, I believe. So I wanted to reach out, since it's the beginning of the school year, and say if you know anyone in your community who should be in school, we need to tell the families and get across to the families that putting your children in a VPK program is not you not doing your responsibilities as a parent, raising your child, but really giving them a great opportunity to learn more. So VPK is free. It is out there in your communities. I serve on the Early Learning Coalition. We even have funding out there for extended day. But I think it is of utmost importance that our community understand that this is something that we can give to all our children, and we need to increase the number of children attending VPK. So those are the two things that I wanted to say with the beginning of this school year, but I am looking forward to a great year. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Ms. Whitfield. Ms. Brill.
Thank you, and I wasn't going to make any comments tonight because of my laryngitis, but I do have to talk about something. So I just wanted to make everyone aware, some of you in the room remember the name Zachary Gottsigan. Zachary was the first fully included student with Down syndrome who graduated from the School of the Arts from our district. He's now 34 years old, and on Friday, a movie is being released. And you might have read about it in People magazine about a week ago, or you might have seen him on the Today Show. But Zachary is going to be starring with Shia LaBeouf and Dakota Johnson in a movie that was written for him called The Peanut Butter Falcon. It's being released in a limited number of theaters, but there's even talk right now that this independent film may receive, and Zachary may receive, an Academy Award. But Zachary's mother fought for him as an advocate. It took 5 years for them to make this movie. So if you have an opportunity, it's a feel-good movie. I know that Zach and his mom would be thrilled to know that you went out and watched it. But, we're doing great things in this district. And this is yet another one of our graduates who people said, it wasn't going to happen. And here he is starring in a major picture. So I hope you all get to see it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brill. Mrs. Andrews?
Thank you, and good afternoon to everyone. And yes, we are back. When I look and I see Wellington High School Chorus, Lakeworth High School Junior ROTC, and I look down and I see Jaden Manuel, a Wildcat from Royal Palm Beach High School, our student council leader. You're awesome. We know that we're back, and we're back with a bang because we see our students leading the way for all of us. I want to thank everyone who took part in making sure that our schools opened and every student was taken care of. We kind of think about it and take it lightly sometimes, but every child needs to start school on the very first day with everything that they need. And I just remember going to the celebrations for back to school, the backpack giveaways, the school uniform giveaways. I want to thank those people from our community. Coco Goff out there at Village Academy. In Pahokee, the lines were long. Wellington gave a 1,000 backpacks. When we look all over Palm Beach County, everyone helps to get our children back to school, ready to start on day one, being happy and successful. And when we look at ourselves as an A-rated school district, it takes all of us helping the children become the success that they will be in life. And when I think about the Glades region, we did it last year, but we're going to just turn it out this coming year with making things happen for children. Children all over Palm Beach County need all of our support. So I'm excited that we're back. I'm excited for our teachers. They're getting that money, that bonus money that they've needed for a long time on Friday. Big deal for our teachers, big deal for everyone in taking care of our children. And just on last night, we were all together at Wellington Education Advisory Committee meeting. And this is a board that works closely with every school in Wellington. They're giving every school $36,000+ for the lowest 25% of their students to work with tutorials, to work with technology, whatever it takes to make sure our children are successful. So when I look at success, I see it every day, but I see it out here at the district office as you work with the principals and work with the schools, as the parents work with the students, as the community and the stakeholders work with all of us to make sure all children are successful. And yes, this is Palm Beach County. We're an A-rated district because we care about our students and we care for one another. It takes the village. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Andrews. Mr. Shaw.
Thank you very much. This evening, I simply want to say thank you to some of the people who are very seldom recognized at board meetings, and many people in the public are not aware of how hard these individuals work and the jobs they have. But I'd like to thank our Chief of Staff, Mr. Tierney, Mr. Burke, our Chief Operating Officer, Mrs. Paul, Mr. Oswald, everybody in the area offices, the instructional superintendents and the regional superintendents, our maintenance staff, everybody who worked so hard over the last several months to get school ready to open. I understand we had a couple schools that were struck by lightning that had air conditioning issues, and maintenance was there quickly and responded to try to get that back up. But I think it's really important that tonight we recognize all of them, and especially to our superintendent, Dr. Fenoy, for doing an amazing job and being there. I think he started, what time, 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock? On 3 o'clock on the first day of school. But these are the people who are behind the scenes so much of the time, but these are the people who do so much. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Board members, I've attached the chairman's report to the agenda tonight. There's a list of all the meetings I attend on behalf of the board, but I want to cover some of those with you. At the request of Josephine Gahn, Vice President of the Jewish Community Relations Council, who asked me to meet with her and other organizations representing the Jewish community to discuss Holocaust studies and related issues in light of the Spanish River situation, I scheduled a meeting here at the district office on July 29th. In attendance were Ms. Gahn, as well as Chief of Staff Tierney, Deputy Superintendent Oswald, Chief Academic Officer Sheffield, Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning Diana Fetterman, Director of Communications Claudia Shea, Michael Hoffman, President and CEO of the Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County, Yael Hirschfield, Regional Director of the Anti-Defamation League, Lawrence Milstein, Regional Director of the American Jewish Committee, Lauren Gross and Paul Gross, Gross Family Center for the Study of Anti-Semitism and the Holocaust, Ira Gerstein, Board Chair of the Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County, Stacy Lampert, Chair of the Jewish Community Relations Council, and Lynn Pasekas, Chair of the Anti-Semitism Task Force. I know Ms. Brill has had follow-up meetings with leaders of the Jewish community that I thank her on behalf of the board for working with the Jewish community to allay the concerns they had with respect to Holocaust studies in our schools. Also, as I advised the board in our workshop on July 31st, I was attempting to have a meeting scheduled with the General Counsel, the Inspector General, HR, and principal leadership. That meeting took place on August 8th, and among the persons present were Chief of Staff Tierney, Principals David Alfonso, Ed Capitano, Maureen Werner, and Corey Brooks from principal leadership. From the Office of Inspector General was the Inspector General Lung Chu, Counsel for Inspector General Liz McBride, and Investigator Oscar Restrepo. From Human Resources, we had Dr. Gonzalo LaCava and Vicki Evans-Perret. From the General Counsel's Office, Shantoya Bernard and Blair Littlejohn, and from School Police, Captain Michael Waits. I believe some suggestions as to policy changes will be coming forward as a result of that meeting. On August 9th, I set up a tour for the members of the Boca Raton City Council to tour the temporary school housing Verde Elementary this year while its new school is being constructed, and I thank them on behalf of the board for making the temporary school and the permanent new elementary school to follow possible, providing millions of dollars worth of land from the city's land to the district. I was asked to attend and express the board's thanks at several administrative meetings in the last few weeks. I attended the Principal Leadership Academy at Dreyfus School of the Arts on July 25th, Transportation in Service Day at Palm Beach Central High School on August 1st, the back-to-school kickoff pep rally in the Fulton Holland Cafeteria on August 6th, the meeting of all district directors in the boardroom on August 14th, and the Office Depot Start Proud event at Gladeview Elementary School on August 16th. I also visited Pahokee, as I promised Mr. Denard I would go back and take a look at the school condition after what I saw earlier on in the summer, and I want to thank Mrs. Paul for that school is in much, much better condition. There's still some things that have to be done, but I understand they're in process, but Pahokee High School was in much, much better shape than when I originally saw it. And I also want to advise the board that I visited 3 charter schools on Monday to ensure that the schools had a safe school officer on their campuses last week. I visited the Worthington High School and and Worthington High School, Quantum High School, and Slam Middle High School. At Quantum, I found that they had a Boynton Beach police officer there last week, and at the other 2 charter schools, they had the sheriff's office. So I found that the district is in compliance, at least with those charter schools, and I've followed up with the superintendent and the chief's office, and I know that we had a safe school officer at every single one of the charter schools. Last week, they were there the first day of school, and they were the entire week from bell to bell, as the law requires. If you have any questions with respect to the report, they have to be submitted at an open meeting, so you can do that at the next board meeting if you'd like to ask any questions. That's all I have, and now we need to move to presentations. And now Ms. Naka Nolim from the Communications and Engagement Department joins us for the August board presentations. I believe there's one. Good evening, Ms. Nolim.
Good evening, Mr. Board Chairman, board members, superintendent and staff, and community members. As the chairman said, we have just one presentation this evening. And everyone, please visit our website at palmbeachschools.org. Click on School Board, then Board Meetings for photos from tonight's meeting. So this evening, we are recognizing the Friends of the Arthur R. Marshall Loxahatchee National Wildlife Refuge. Located in Delray Beach, the organization's mission is to promote a better understanding and appreciation of the natural history, resources, and environment of South Florida. The Arthur R. Marshall Loxahatchee National Wildlife Refuge and the entire Everglades system. To that end, they have donated more than $14,000 to the school district to fund field trips to the Loxahatchee National Wildlife Refuge, which is a wildlife sanctuary located in Boynton Beach. This financial support allows students throughout the district to visit the refuge and learn about life science standards in a real-world outdoor experience. We are saying thank you to the Friends of the Arthur R. Marshall Loxahatchee National Wildlife Refuge for this support, as it enriches the educational experience of our students while also encouraging an appreciation for nature and the environment. Here to accept this recognition, we have Harvey Lee, Peter McKelvey, and Eleanor Williams, who are members of the board of directors of the Friends of the Arthur R. Marshall Loxahatchee National Wildlife Refuge, and Steve Henry, deputy project leader from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And we also want to acknowledge Tom Selinsky, the K-5 science program planner in the district's Department of Teaching and Learning. Let's give them all a round of applause.
Come right in front of them.
Mr. Board Chairman, board members, superintendent and staff, and members of the community, this concludes the presentations for August. The Communications and Engagement Department invites you to visit the district website at palmbeachschools.org to learn about all the great things happening in our schools, departments, and communities. And make sure to follow us on social media, available in English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole. And we also encourage you to download our mobile app in Google Play or from the iTunes App Store. Search for School District of Palm Beach County in either store. Thank you, everyone, for your attention this evening, and do have a good night. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Jaden, you're on.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the warm welcomes from everybody on the board. My name is Jaden Manuel, for those of you that do not know me. I'm from Royal Palm Beach High School, and I serve as president of the Student Councils of Palm Beach County. And I am super excited to have been given this opportunity to serve as this school year's student representative. We will be hosting our first County Student Council meeting next Thursday, August 29th, 2019, to discuss business between schools and projects that they are working on for the upcoming school year. We have received RSVPs from 14 middle schools and high schools and are expecting over 250 SGA students to be present. My mission this year is to increase the participation at these meetings by the schools within our county. With the increased participation at the meetings by the schools, we can set up a system of networking between the schools to pass on ideas that better each individual school, their communities, and Palm Beach County as a whole. By doing this, I hope that the leaders of each of these schools find something that needs to be addressed within their respective schools, voicing their concerns to me so that I can then address it all to you here at the school board. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaden, and just want to forewarn you that in future meetings, Mr. Shaw is going to ask you a question. So you might want to look at some past board meetings and figure out what that question is, because he's going to put you on the spot. I also understand that his, Mr. Shaw, why don't you, because you remember better than I, Chelsea Riddle.
One of the things we found out tonight, Mrs. Riddle, would you please stand up? This is Chelsea Riddle, who is his student, is his teacher advisor, and she was our student government representative 5 years ago, I believe. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jaden. The Academic Advisory Committee, do we have a report here tonight? Ms. Feldman?
Good evening.
Good evening.
The Academic Advisory Committee met last Monday night, where we heard two presentations. With one was an update about the safety, and the other was an instructional review. In the safety update, we heard information about a number of initiatives, including threat assessment process and the hiring of behavioral health professionals, so that there is minimally one such professional per school. We learned that some of the behavioral health professionals recently hired were not credentialed enough to provide all of the services. For example, those would specifically relate to therapy. These uncredentialed staff are I just said that. Not able to provide therapy. They are able to provide some of the other services. We also learned that the hiring decisions were school-based, and the schools might be able to have other staff provide those services instead of these new hires. Committee members were concerned about a few aspects of this. We asked the staff to bring back answers to the following questions. Which schools do not have the sufficiently credentialed behavioral health professionals to provide all services? Which of these schools are Title I schools? And which schools have the highest frequency of emotional behavior disorder students? And which schools have reports of most disruptions in education, for example, like suspension or other behavioral disciplinary issues, so that we can cross-reference both of those lists? And which services are offered at each school, including counseling groups, therapy, and programs like We Dine, so that we can see, despite who has been hired, that these needs are being met. During the instructional review, a committee member asked about details regarding what the district is doing to differently raise our third grade reading scores. And we heard that work is being done to reorganize content, scope, and sequence to increase rigor and professional development as well. There were discussions about how helpful academic tutors have been found to be to help work with small group instruction, but that there's been some difficulty growing this program to make it a larger scale across the district. And there was a question also about the iReady program and how that effective has been, and what's being worked on with that. So there's a pilot project, we understand, that's working with Harvard and 10 schools to work on that specific issue. And we also talked about the EduData school grades and the new SEQ resources to schools, which got a very positive reception. And at the end of our meeting, a few committee members brought up some questions regarding the implementation of the statute, I believe it's 1003.42, regarding Holocaust education, the contributions of women to American society, the contributions of Hispanics to American society, and the African American history and contributions to American society. So those questions, we're hoping we can tackle both of these issues, those questions and the ones I mentioned earlier, in upcoming meetings.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Feldman? Thank you very much. Appreciate
Could
it.
I just add in one thing? So the statute, just to clarify a little bit, one of the questions would be, what is the school district currently doing in terms of the curriculum associated with those topics? How are we publicizing that information to our communities to make sure that they know what we are doing? And how are we evaluating the effectiveness of what we are doing? Thank you.
Thank you. The next committee that would report tonight would be audit. They don't have a report, but I want to advise the board that Mr. Silver, the chairman of the audit committee, who has been on the audit committee for 25 years, called me and said he was going to be resigning from the audit committee because of he's going to be traveling quite a bit and feels that he won't be able to attend the meeting. So I'll be bringing a name forward for all of you as soon as I identify somebody to fill Mr. Silver's very large shoes. He's been a great addition to that and has served us well. Construction Oversight Review Committee, Mr. Doctor.
Chairman, Barbieri, school board members, Dr. Fenoy, staff. My name's Lou Doctor. I'm here representing your Construction Oversight Committee. We met last Thursday morning and reviewed 4 items that are on your agenda for this evening. First one was FC1, which is approved contingency. As you know, Cork reviews contingency items that are collected during the course of the year. We had some questions on some of them. The staff did an excellent job of answering the questions and clarifying it. We drove them crazy, but they had all the answers. And we recommended that that go forward by a vote of 9-0. The next one was PC1. It's our pre-qualified vendor list, where we pre-qualify vendors for insurance licensing and make them eligible to bid on contracts for us. We had 1 new vendor and 4 renewal vendors, and that moved forward on consent. Second one, PC2 Design Services, is a long time coming. With your approval, this will authorize the design of the new West Palm Beach Lake Worth High School. We've owned the land for I don't know how many years. It's going to take 45 acres on Lyons Road. The proposal went through the normal proposal system you have. Architects were solicited. The search committee narrowed it down to 3 finalists. The 3 finalists gave presentations. They picked the lead one. They negotiated a satisfactory price, and they presented the package to us. It was an excellent package. It's interesting to note that there were several options in it that the architect should consider in doing his job to make sure that we have total coverage for the school. make sure that Lyons Road is adequate to handle the traffic from the school, looking into a traffic light at the appropriate place, making sure the lift stations can handle the sewage that's going to be added in that particular area. It's certainly going to eliminate the overcrowding of high schools in that area. It's going to give your boundary committee some work to do. We recommended that it go forward by a vote of 8-0. The third one is the Pahokee High School. It had planned to have its roof repaired at the appropriate time, and your staff reported the extent of the leakage was greater than they had anticipated. They didn't want any mold developing in the school, and they're moving up that project to do it now, which is certainly an appropriate time. 4 vendors bid on it. They selected a low-price vendor who's fully qualified for the job, and we recommended that that go forward by a 9-0 vote. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Mr. Doctor? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We appreciate all your efforts on our behalf.
Thank you.
That takes us to elected officials and delegate speakers. I'm going to call 2 at a time. We have 2 podiums. Would one of you come to the podium on our right and the other one to the left, starting with James Gavrlos, President and CEO of the Education Foundation of Palm Beach County, and Charmaine Postal, President of the Palm Beach County PTA.
Good evening, Chairman Barbieri, Superintendent Fenoy, honored members of the school board, district officials, and honored guests. If you've come to these meetings, you know I come up here typically bouncing off the walls because we get to do the good stuff. We get to give the money away and honor our teachers. And Doc, even by my standards tonight, I'm bursting. The last couple of weeks have been absolutely insane at Your Education Foundation. Until things got really crazy, we already had people lined up. Cass Construction had adopted Roosevelt. Boca West Community Foundation had adopted a school in Del Rey. United Technologies and Dell Computer had all adopted schools providing backpacks for every child in the school. Of course, Office Depot had the Start Proud initiative at Rolling Green and Glade View, which was just another phenomenal experience. And then out of nowhere, at the last meeting, I was literally looking at my phone. We were trying to close the deal, Chairman Barbieri, but as I was leaving, we got confirmation from the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office, U.S. Sugar, Gunster Law Firm, and Florida Power and Light, who donated a total of $120,000, and we were able to provide a backpack for every elementary school child in Pahokee, the Glades, and Henry County. In 5 days, Your Education Foundation had about 150 volunteers who worked over 600 hours, packed 5,100 backpacks. 2 men in a truck stepped up and said, we are going to transport it free of charge. Here's our trucks, here's our drivers. And in 5 days, we moved 5,140 backpacks out to the western part of the county. This is what your business community wants to do. And so while that's going on, I alluded to this at our last meeting. Last year, our Go Teach grants, we had 70 applications, awarded 61, totaling $63,000. At the last school board meeting, we had just closed registration. We had 135 applications this year. On Tuesday this week, our Program and Grants Committee met. We approved 92 of those grants, totaling $109,792.09, affecting roughly 23,910 children, over 130 teachers, and 59 of our district schools will be receiving Go Teach grants. That event will take place at Kaiser University on Thursday night, September 26th. You are all cordially invited to participate. We are thrilled to see the explosion of the Go Teach program, which, here's my annual shameless plug, gets funded by the license plate. Every time someone buys the education license plate, those $20 come to the Education Foundation, and every dollar goes directly to teacher programs. It's simply an amazing outpouring of support. I would share with you that, as I said, we approved 92 of the 135 applications, me being a shameless beggar. That's my professional job title, I believe. I've already reached out to some of our business partners and said, essentially, gee, there were 20 or 30 grants we just couldn't fund because we didn't have the money. 3 of them have already said, just give me the damn applications and we'll fund those too. So 92 is the number, and I would say, and counting. I want to give all of the credit to our Program and Grants Committee, some of our board members and people throughout the committee, including our newest member, Artie Falk, someone known well to this school district, and certainly Jennifer Etheridge, our program director. Ladies and gentlemen, we're hard at work doing what we do, bringing your business community to support our beautiful kids. This is the work of Your Education Foundation, serving the needs of the students, teachers, and principals and the finest school district in the state of Florida. Thank you very much.
Mr. Gavrilos, we are so lucky to have you working with us. I mean, it's just amazing. Where you been all our lives? We needed you a long time.
You're very kind. We have a great board, and we have one of our, Dr. Fenoy, one of your poor employees, Leanne Evans, who's on our board. I drag her in to sign checks, even to the poor thing's trying to go home. Frank, thank you. We have a great board, the most amazing staff, and the best volunteers in Palm Beach County. But it starts with you, the school board, and your support. But thank you. Appreciate that.
Welcome. Thank you. Ms. Feldman, I guess you're speaking for Ms. Postal?
I am. Yes. Thank you. She unfortunately was stuck behind a major accident and is not able to make it here tonight. And I'm here as president-elect from Palm Beach County Council of PTAs, wearing a different hat. And first I'd like to say welcome back to the students and to the teachers. Our PTA local units have been working hard to welcome everybody back and start the year off with smiles and going forward with happiness and good learning. So a couple of things and announcements that I'd like to make. We have a meet and greet here at the school district office on Monday night. You all are welcome to come. We would love to see you there, where we'll be having our principals and our executive boards from the local units have been invited to come as well. And I'd like to also congratulate Coral Sunset and Sandpiper Shores for receiving the National PTA School of Excellence Award. And also let you know that PTA is working hard on our program called Data for Good, where we are working towards helping our communities better understand the school grades and information data that's available online. And we'll be doing part of that at our training, which will be on September 14th at the Safe Schools Institute. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Feldman. Jacqueline Calloway, Coalition for Black Student Achievement, and PJ Diaz from the Staff Association. Would you come up to the podiums, please? Go ahead, Ms. Calloway.
Good afternoon, Chairman Fenoy, school board members, and Chairman Barbieri, school board members, and Dr. Fenoy. The Coalition for Black Student Achievement has been very vocal in expressing our concern about the lack of authentic infusion of the African and African American diaspora in the learning experiences of black students at schools. Schools where they sit in classrooms, walk the hallways, interact with other students and adults, where they play, where they eat, where they experience the good and the not so good, where they laugh and sometimes cry, where they wait in line or get pulled out of line, where they wait outside of the classroom or in the AP's office, or maybe they just wait to be called on in class by a teacher who finally acknowledges them, where they behave or not behave, where they feel vindicated or humiliated, where they are lashed out at or where they at times lash back, where they may or may not learn to read, to do math, and to write, where they sit in the office for long stretches of time or in the room of another teacher that is not their own because their own teacher is too tired, frustrated, or indifferent, where sometimes they give up and try and turn a blind eye to the adult who does not see them. They just give up. In short, school is a place where they live for 180 days, for better or worse. And if that child happens to attend school for the entire 180 days, they get a certificate of perfect attendance for their time spent, even though they may have heard little substance about their history, their culture, and their ancestors from long ago, the art, the music, the science, the written stories, and those told through griot. For those who may not know what griot means, you can look it up. It's a significant part of the African and African American culture, which many black students do not get an opportunity to learn because their history and culture is not infused within the community. Instead, it is marginalized because it's not considered to be important or treated as necessary in order to be educated. There is much research that shows a clear connection between the academic achievement and engagement of black students when they learn about their culture. But even if there were no research at all, wouldn't black students be entitled to know who they are, where they came from, and what the wonderful possibilities are that may be ahead for them? So I say to you, board members, and Dr. Fenoy, and to your to your assistant superintendents, your regional superintendents, your district department heads, your counselors, your school psychologists, and most importantly, your principals and teachers. Show them all your actions and not just your words. Show that you take infusion seriously and that you will hold all of your staff accountable for ensuring that the 180 days out of a Black child's life at school should not show just how proficient they are in reading, math, and writing, but also that their culture and history is taught authentically and with respect. Be unequivocal about this. And one thing you can address is the pitiful situation where when you have over 12,500 plus teachers in this district, and only 57 of them had the Beyond Diversity training for the fall of 2018 and 2019. What happened to the other 12,433 plus teachers? Are these the same educators who are expected to demonstrate cultural competency and responsiveness? Are they the same persons who are expected to value the need for infusion of the African American diaspora in our curriculum? Culture defines human beings, and Black students come from a culture that expresses their humanity. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Kathy Gunlack, would you please come up to the podium? Go ahead, Mr. Diaz.
Good evening, Chairman Barbieri, Vice Chairman Shaw, board members, and Superintendent Fenoy. I'm P.J. Diaz. I'm President of the Staff Association. Back in July 1982, Policy 2.013 established the Staff Association as an official organization. Currently, we're representing over 500 active members in the MBU category, specialists through directors, after-school directors, BIA, single school culture coordinators, mental health professionals, and of course, the hardest working people in our district are confidential administrative assistants. The other day, we got the pleasure of listening to Mr. Oswald talk about our goals for the year, Dr. Fenoy's goals of safety, relationships, and academics. We know that safety is everyone's job. Academics is something we support. For the last few years, we've been doing a really good job with that in the Staff Association. But one thing that caught our attention was relationships. And at a recent meeting on Monday, we really talked about how the theme of the Staff Association was really to support that goal of relationships, because that's where it all happens. Knowing who to call, where to call, how to get involved, what kind of resources we need at the school centers, how we can better support our fellow educators is really what it's about. And a couple of things that really we wanted to key on is in the strategic plan career pathways. We recognize that we have talent all over this district, and it's about recognizing that talent, finding that talent, giving that talent a pathway. We know that our principal of the year, David Alfonso, last year started off as an aftercare counselor. That's a tremendous opportunity to find that talent and develop it. Now, David Alfonso came from a line of educators. However, we do have people out in the field that really don't know what the pathways are. So we're really excited about this work because we know we have great people out there. It's about tapping into them. The other piece we got really excited about, and I'll tell you, being in the building for the past 8 years, was in the area of staff development last year. We had an event called Leaders of Mission, and that was put on by our professional development department. We had about 350 of our building folks from around the area office, regional offices, that got together in a networking event with professional development for the first time in a long time, and it was so meaningful. I just had to point that out as something we got excited about, our membership is excited about, and those are the kind of opportunities we need to keep going so we can grow our own. Another highlight, student internships. Having students in the building, having staff being able to interact with students and being able to see what we're doing and how it impacts students was incredible. We got a lot of mentoring relationships out of that, and I just want to remind folks the power of internships and what we did. In 1982, I was part of the first class of the executive internship program when I was at Twin Lakes High School. And I was able to go to WJNO, WRMF, and really meet some fabulous people, including the late John Picano, Bob Nichols, Jennifer Ross, and of course our very own Debbie Stewart. This year the Staff Association will continue our trend of excellence. We gave away $11,000 in scholarships in the last 2 years. and we really support our superintendent and our executive team. Our first general membership meeting is going to be October 21st, and really just from behalf of all the staff in the Staff Association and all the people we represent, we wanted to say what a great year it's been, what a great feeling we had, and we want that to continue. So we're here to serve and support the mission and vision of this district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Diaz. Would Dr. Joaquin Garcia, the chair of the Hispanic Education Coalition in Palm Beach County, please come to that podium? Go ahead, Dr. Glenlack.
Good evening, Chairman Barbieri, board members, Dr. Fenoy, and members of the dais. I am Dr. Kathy Gunlack, co-chair of the Education Committee of the League of Women Voters in Palm Beach County. And I'm excited to remind you that the League is celebrating public education, and let me change that to traditional public education, for the month of September. And I'm inviting all of you and the public to attend all or one or two or all three of our planned activities. On Saturday, September 7th, Dr. Geraldine Johnson, Director of Choice and Career Options, will present on choice programs, and then it will be followed by a mini showcase of schools and programs. It will be held at the STEM Center at Dreher Park, with registration beginning at 9:30 in the morning. It's early on a Saturday. You must register on the League website. Go to the League of Women Voters Palm Beach County, and you can see where it says cool topic to register. On Tuesday, September 10th, we will be having a bus tour of schools and programs starting from the district at 9:30. And we will view some of the choice programs that are discussed on Saturday and some new ones. And then finally, on Wednesday, September 18th, Dr. Fenoy will present at the State of the Schools at one of our Hot Topic luncheons. See, my heart just went, oh, it is on your calendar. Registration will begin at 11. You must pre-register. It is a luncheon. That is the only one that has a cost to it. So you can go to the League of Women Voters, Palm Beach County, and sign up for all three. We ask you to come to enjoy these events. We are excited to do this, and we are hoping we can make this an annual event. So thank you. I want to thank Mr. Tierney's office, Claudia Shea, Kathleen, and I kill Kathleen's name, actually Kathy every time, it's Villasencio, for their assistance in the planning and execution of these events. And I also want to honor somebody on your staff. Miss Carol is so delightful to call and talk to and schedule, and I just want to thank her. She's wonderful. So hope to see all of you in September, and we're looking forward to it. The League is excited. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gunlack. Pam Bergsma from the Joy Bergsma Retina Blastoma Foundation, please come up to the podium, and Ron Laporte from SEIU to the other.
Okay. Honorable Chairman and all board members, Dr. Fenoy, and I'd also like to recognize Carol and how helpful she was to me today. I'm very, very excited to be here to announce the Infant Eye Care Bill, Senate Bill 46, House Bill 67, has been sponsored by Senator Lauren Book and House Representative Kristen Jacobs. We're back. It's been 20 years in 2020 since my grandson passed away needlessly because he did not receive the standard of care. His pediatrician did not use the direct ophthalmoscope in a dark room. This is the stethoscope for our eyes from birth to 100. It needs to be used at every well checkup to detect, refer, and prevent. This is how we all get to the eye doctor or back to the eye doctor. And many instances at any age, the things that develop on the back of the eye can take more than sight. So through Joe's death, I learned that it is not enough for the newborn baby. Their pupil is just too small in diameter. A simple little eye dilation drop, which the nurse practitioner after she weighs that baby at the well checkup, will put into the corners of the infant's eye. It's a penny and a half per eye. We're talking about 3 cents. And then at the end of the exam, when that little pupil is dilated, the pediatrician will do the standard of care, which he is required to do. And he will spend that 15 seconds in a dark room looking at the back of that baby's eye. And now we have the opportunity to see that cataract, the number one thing presenting in those newborn eyes, but also retinoblastoma tumors, optic nerve hypoplasia, Coats disease, refractive disorders, glaucoma, on and so forth. 1 in every 677 live births are right with the first breath of life are presenting with an eye disease or anomaly that can take sight or worse. 1 in 9 infants in the first year of life are showing a concern. 1 in 10 toddlers has a visual problem, and 1 in 4 school-age children. So do we need to look? Yes, we do. And one of the top cancers, retinoblastoma, which my grandson had, not the top eye disease, but one of the top cancers affecting 1 in 12,000 children in our nation, is 100% fixable with early detection. And if Joey would have just gotten the standard of care at his 18-month exam, he would be 22 years old with 20/20 vision in his eye. But now we have the opportunity again to make sure every child has the best sight possible starting at birth, and what happened to Joey will never be allowed to happen again. So I'm urging all of you, as you did back in the early millennium when we almost did this in 2002 and 2003, please, whatever it takes, working together, I know this will be done. And when we implement this on July 1st, 2020, Joey will be 23 years old on July 5th, and I know he will be so happy. This will be the best birthday present we could give him. So I look forward to working with my county, my school board, and with everyone in the state of Florida to get this done once and for all. So thank you so very much for your kind attention.
Thank you.
And Carol passed out, this was my flyer that I passed out. On the back, I wrote the bill numbers. We didn't have a bill for the last few years when I was passing it out. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Ron?
Good evening, board members, superintendent, and the official of the school district. Again, my name is Ronald Laporte. I'm the lead organizer for FPSU. And the reason I'm here tonight is just like to repeat exactly something like a lot of people already said before me. This is a very great starting year again for our school district. We are very proud of our members, and everybody in between will put their head together, their hands together, whatever they can to make this year happen again. But I'm here also just to remind you, since our members are behind the scene, their face is not like on the front, they don't know them. But for the most part, they are the people that make the district run. And I just want the board members and everybody in between to help us to support this membership, from school bus drivers to food service workers, paraprofessional, bus attendant, and also the custodian, who without them really there will be no school. Because there's no job which is like too small for our members to do. Everybody's job is need to be supported. We do have a lot of our members, sometimes for some unwanted reason, they've been mistreated in the school. And we want to highlight that part also. It's not just the student, it's not just the beginning of the school year that make it happen, but we want like the district, the school board members, and the personnel of the district also to show great respect to our members, because without it, it's going to be a problem. And I just want to highlight that part. Again, I am here to just support a great start of the school year, and I pray that will be continued throughout of the school year, so we have like a good year for the student. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Board members, before we take a motion to approve the agenda, do anybody want to pull anything else? Mr. Shaw?
If I could have just a quick moment of personal privilege, I don't want to pull anything, but one of the items we have on the agenda is the approval of the services for architect services for 000. And in the audience tonight, we have the architect that I think will be involved in designing this. So I'd like to ask Sam Ferrari to stand up. Sam is a longtime resident of Palm Beach County, former mayor of the city of Green Acres, and president of the League of Cities, and has built how many schools in Palm Beach County? A dozen. So he will be there. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion by Mr. Shaw, second by Mrs. Andrews. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. So that takes us to new business, Mr. Superintendent. I guess the first one is mine, BRD 3. I recommend the board approve and confirm board member travel as submitted and that it meets the requirements of Florida Statute 1001.39, effective July 1st, 2019. Motion by Mrs. Andrews, second by Mrs. Whitfield. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Personnel addendum, Mr. Superintendent, P3.
Mr. Chairman, P3, I recommend the board approve the personnel addendum as amended.
Motion by Mrs. Andrews, seconded by Mrs. Whitfield. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Also, before we go into the next item, we typically recognize employees of ours who have passed away recently, so I'd like to take the opportunity that at this moment we have Azolta Alkema, Food Service Assistant 1 at Alamanda Elementary. She was born in 1975 and she passed away recently in 2019. And Henry Montgomery, Custodial Foreperson 4 at Jupiter Middle, is born in 1958 and recently passed away in July of 2019. Could we have a moment of silence to recognize these employees and their families? Thank you. Mr. Superintendent, SW1.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. SW1, I recommend the board approve the renewal of the annual cooperative agreement with the Practical Academic Cultural Education, PACE, Center for Girls, Inc., effective July 1, 2019 through June 30, 2020.
Motion by Mrs. Andrews, second by Mrs. Brill. Mrs. Whitfield, you have
Thank
pulled
you.
in?
I just wanted to pull this item because when I was going through the backup documentation, I kind of felt like there just wasn't enough of it, specifically because we have been talking a lot about improving our alternative schools. And so I really wanted to see from PACE, since they have been in existence for a while, really what kind of outcomes are we getting from that organization before we approve items like that. So, I don't want to stop PACE from being improved because I have been there and I do know they provide a valuable service, but I do hope that in the future when we have items like this, we can have some documentation about how they are improving the lives. I was thinking things like scores, but also the implementation of some of the SEL things that they may be doing at those schools, because that is something that we are leaning towards. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Andrews.
Thank you. I'd just like to say something on behalf of PACE, since I do sit as your board representative for the Juvenile Justice Group. And just knowing we have PACE, I had a situation just recently at Wellington High School, and we needed to find placement. And it's a different kind of placement that's totally different from the normal alternative placement, just for our girls. So I invite this board to go visit PACE and get a chance to talk to the people who run the program. And I'm quite impressed with what they do for our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brill.
Thank you, and I'll just weigh in by saying that I had the opportunity to meet some of the students who had gone through the program with them, and they are incredible. These are students who don't have a place to go to live. It's wraparound services. These are children that would have been totally lost, so they don't really quite fit, but I understand what Ms. Whitfield is asking for. But this is a very unique program, and I think that we have to be extremely supportive and grateful to them for all that they do.
All right, thank you. No, any more discussion? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. That takes us to non-agenda speakers. Would Carl Mohammed come to one podium and Aaron Cross come to the other, please? After these two speakers, it will be Amanda Post. Go ahead, Mr. Muhammad.
Muhammad. Once again, I'm here to talk about the worst part of your school system, which is the African-American children. And back in 2011, 2015, we came up with this information, and every word inside of this book was developed by the School District of Palm Beach County, and every word was kind of co-sponsored by you, Mr. Barbieri, you, Mr. Shaw, Ms. Brill, Ms. Andrews. You two were just new, but I'm sure that, of course, you, Superintendent, one of the problems that we've had is that when this information was developed, we decided that we were going to allow the superintendent to be the responsible person for that. I see where we made a mistake in that, because we've held about 3 superintendents, and none of them have made you aware of the actual facts of what is taking place inside of this book. And we had a legitimate vote when Mr. Avosa was here, and we voted that the superintendent would be the one in charge. And then when Mr. Fenoy came in, he said that he was going to take it under his reign last year, and we didn't hear anything about it. Now, I'm hoping that we can possibly bring this back to your board members, and you can take another critical, analytical look at it and see if it's worthy of the real things that are inside of it. And it's called Beyond the Talk, Taking Actions to Increase Graduation Rate and Reduce Suspension of African American Students, in particular the African American male child. And many of you might have heard of this, but it was changed to the Superintendent Task Force. But I don't believe that this kind of information was transferred inside of that kind of dynamic. And we have all of the responsible things that addresses the problem of these non-immigrant blacks here in Palm Beach County. Now, I know that many times we say blacks, and we know that we have a lot of different subgroups of blacks, and most of the time we get it all blended together. And I think, and I know for a fact, that we do ourselves a disservice, because there are individual needs from each child, from each different culture. And what we're trying to do is trying to make it easier for you guys to assist us in really raising some better students and better people inside of Palm Beach County, and we need you to take another critical look. Now, I don't know who I would share this kind of information with, but I know the last time I tried to give it to you, it was a difficulty factor in just printing the book. And that sounded crazy to me at that time, and I know it sounds crazy again. But I do think that each one of you need an opportunity to embrace this kind of wisdom, because it is the worst part of your system. And we are, as a community, we are there, and we're not mixed up with everybody else. And it's going to take a critical ear for you to really understand what I'm talking about. But I think we could get a glimpse of it as we looked at what happened with the Jewish situation in Spanish River, and how important that is to the Jewish people, to African Americans who are the children of the slaves. Everything is just as serious to us as well. Plus, we have much more information we have to compile, and a lot of it been destroyed and all these other things. So we need the support of you this year. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Muhammad, if you would make that book available to Carol Bass, we'll have it in the board office so we can all take a look at it.
Thank you.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Erin Cross. Thank you for listening to me today. I'm here because I was hired within the district with one of the new positions for school behavior and mental health specialist. I worked for about 3 weeks and then received a call from Miss Mimi Garcia in Professional Standards saying that I was not being truthful on my background, which I have always been truthful on my background. I was employed here with the district in 2013 through 15 as a substitute teacher, and I recently left my job, relocated for the position, and then to get a call and say that I was not being truthful and defamed my character, it kind of it's a slap in the face. What was on the record, which I had to find out through the Florida Department of Law Enforcement and the chief, Mr. Reed, at the state attorney's office, because that information wasn't provided for me from Ms. Mimi or from Ms. Vicky Pilar, that it was something that happened when I was a juvenile. I was 14 years old, never went to jail, never was arrested, never went to a diversion program, never went to court. Based on this Florida statute 943.085, it's for juveniles. They automatically expunge your record if you didn't reoffend. Ms. Vicky asked me to submit a narrative which would explain what happened 23 years ago in 1996. I told her I can do the best of my ability as I can recall, because I did not recall this incident until it came back on my expungement on the FDLE that you guys do at the district. Got that information, everything is there, the statute's there on the FDLE background check, which clearly states that I have no knowledge of it being expunged. The courts or the judge don't have to say anything to me. It's automatically done. I've lost almost everything right now. And I think that because I reached out to Miss Mimi and she didn't like or feel comfortable with me being curious as to what's going on, sorry if I get emotional, but this is my life. This is my character, and it's not fair. This is not a simple issue of somebody's lying. I understand policy and procedure, very knowledgeable of it. So I wouldn't lie. It makes no sense to lie. I've always been truthful. Ms. Mimi and Ms. Vicky told me that the forms had changed. I went to some department here in the district and pulled my 2013 background check, clearance check. I put the same exact thing. I don't have any expungements because as until July 25th, 2019, I'd never known I had one. And I just wish that everybody would take some time and take it into consideration and don't let people that are upset because I went above and wanted to know a little bit more what's going on with my life and to be able to support my son, which has never been an issue. It needs to be some consideration and things need to be done differently, or somebody needs to look at something differently. And please do not just push me over. I've emailed and I've called everybody. I have not even had the professional courtesy from Mr. Flournoy to even respond to an email or anybody else, as a matter of fact. Someone named Miss Carol, thank you so much. I don't know who she is. She was the only one that responded back to me. I'm not looking for anybody to do anything special for me because I've worked and earned everything that I have. I've contracted through the school district for the past 3 years. I go out and do ABA therapy in your schools now. So you're asking me to produce all of these different evidence and documents that is known that I cannot produce because it's age of majority. Those records have been destroyed. And it's clearly stated in the statute. I have nothing. I'm a single parent. I don't want any special treatment. I just want it to be heard. And I need everybody to look at this, not that I lied, because I didn't lie.
Thank you, Ms. Krause. Actually, when I saw your email, I did discuss this with the superintendent. I've asked him to take a look at the situation and see what can be done. Thank you. Amanda Post, you here?
I do have a packet for each of you. I don't know if you would like me to pass that out. Okay.
The next three speakers are going to have an interpreter with them, so if the interpreter wants to get ready for Pastor Valentin Fontanez will be the next speaker. Go ahead, ma'am.
Board Chair Barbieri, trustees, my trustee, Ms. McQuinn, and Dr. Fenoy, thank you for hearing me speak tonight. I was born and raised in Jupiter, Florida. I have lived there my whole life. I'm a graduate of Jupiter High School. I'm here tonight to address my non-reappointment as a teacher at Dwyer High School for the 2019-2020 school year. Last year was only my second year teaching, but I was an effective teacher both years and was actually close to being highly effective. Palm Beach County has a critical teacher shortage to begin with, but even more so for science teachers. And I was a science teacher, biology to be exact, which is also an EOC course. I did not have any issues my first year of teaching, but unfortunately, I had many issues and concerns with my administration through this past school year. There was also a new principal and new assistant principals this past school year, though. The year started out with me being placed out of field, which eventually led to the resolving of a grievance in November of 2018. I believe that's where the animosity first started. Throughout the year, I had challenges with student behavior and classroom management, but I'm not some young, blonde, white girl who can't control her classroom. If the administration didn't have confidence in me, then they should have had me coached or referred to some type of program, classroom management, professional development training, but did they? No. So my students needed guidance and help beyond what I could provide them, and they were interrupting classroom instruction. So because of that, I reached out to APs, but they were no help when I reached out to them. They made false promises. I rarely received assistance when I called for it, and 24 referrals were ultimately never processed. And they're in that packet that I provided you. That alone is a violation of the Student Code of Conduct and Florida Statute 1003.32. I had an incident with a student which I was concerned about, and I tried to bring to the attention of Mr. Brooks, but the issue was never addressed. Later in the year, that same student did something during school that caused them to go to the hospital and have to have surgery on their hand. At the end of that same week, I was not reappointed. And on that same day that I was not reappointed, I had an informal observation just randomly show up on my iObservation portal. So not only was that after the deadlines for observations to be conducted, but no one ever actually came into my room to do an observation. On top of that, I had already confirmed with my evaluating AP if I needed any more observations to be done, and I was told no, everything was taken care of. It was all done. So my final evaluation results were influenced by an observation that never happened, as well as falsified records. I see all of this as the administration is getting away with not doing what they're legally obligated to do, and a new teacher doesn't get reappointed as a result of just trying to do their job. So I wasn't given a chance to grow and be supported as a professional and teacher at Dwyer High School, and I'm requesting the following. I don't want to be blackballed from any further employment opportunities in the district. I would like a full investigation into the issues that I've addressed tonight. And 3, I would like to continue working in the district. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, would the interpreter come up to the microphone with the pastor, please? Go ahead.
Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon.
Soy el pastor Valentín Fontanes.
I'm the pastor Valentín Fontanes.
Es presidente y miembro de la Asociación de Pastores del Condado de Palm Beach.
Former president and member of the Association of Pastors of the Palm Beach County.
Representamos más de 300 iglesias en este condado,
We represent more than 300 churches in this county,
el cual nuestro presidente Beto Disco está presente aquí hoy.
and our president
Disco.
Disqua is here today.
Estamos aquí hoy
We are here today
porque estamos muy interesados en la Asociación de Pastores en involucrarnos en los asuntos que beneficien a nuestra comunidad.
because the Association of Pastors, we are very interested in getting involved in the matters that concern our community.
Por eso me alegré cuando escuché que han nombrado a la señora Rivera como directora hispana de una escuela aquí en este condado.
That's why I'm very happy and I'm glad to hear that Ms. Rivera was appointed as director in this county, as one of our schools.
Pero deseamos que existan o hayan más directores hispanos porque nuestra comunidad está creciendo en este condado del 35 al 40% somos hispanos ahora aquí.
For the escuela?
Así que sigan.
But we wish that we have more Hispanic principals in our schools, since our Hispanic community has been growing from a 35 to 40% now in this county.
Porque eso ayudaría y mandaría un mensaje de que el Departamento de Educación está muy interesado en ayudar a la comunidad hispana.
Because that would help and actually send a message that the Department of Education is interested in helping the Hispanic community.
También tenemos otra preocupación.
We also have another concern.
Y es el discrimen que existe contra los hispanos.
And it's the crime that exists against Hispanic people.
Lo vimos en Texas hace poco.
We saw it in Texas.
Y no queremos que siga ocurriendo esto.
And we don't want this to continue and to happen again.
Y por eso es que queremos participar.
That's why we want to participate.
Y deseamos que se eduque en las escuelas un poco más sobre la comunidad hispana.
And we wish that in our schools we get our kids educated more about the Hispanic community.
Por eso, como también presentador de un programa de televisión hispano con CTN, Canal 61,
That's why, as also I'm a presenter at a Hispanic program
de televisión hispano,
of Hispanic television,
yo estaría dispuesto a invitarlos para que informen a la comunidad hispana todo el trabajo que ustedes también hacen por nuestra comunidad.
I'll be able to invite you and for you to talk about all the work that you do for our Hispanic community.
Muchas gracias y que Dios los bendiga.
Thank you very much, and God bless you.
You're welcome. Thank you. The next speaker is Yvette Chavez. Abraham Segundo. Would the interpreter please give your name for the record also? Your name, interpreter?
Oh, Lauren Rendueles.
Into the microphone.
I'm sorry, Lauren Rendueles.
Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity, Dr. Lenoy and board. I will have you a little bit of help, because I want to introduce myself in English and speak in Spanish, so I can make me understand very properly. My name is Abraham Segundo. I've been working with the community for more than 8 years. Right now I'm working on radio media. I have a radio show called Visión Latina that purpose is to communicate all important information for the Hispanic community, because sometimes we commit so many mistakes because we don't know the information that is already there. And this is happening right now and so many times with the parents. So I'm going to start speaking in Spanish. Una de las cosas que más les importan a los padres es saber que los hijos están en un lugar seguro y están recibiendo la educación que ellos necesitan para que su formación sea lo mejor posible.
One of the things that are very important to parents, most important to parents, is that to know that their kids are safe in schools and they're receiving the education that they need to be successful in the future.
Some of the concerns that I listen, una de las preocupaciones que siempre escucho en el programa de radio, donde tengo el gusto de tenerlos a ustedes a través de los medios de comunicación, es la falta de personal en lugares claves como los administrativos, en la docencia y en los directivos o los principals en las escuelas.
One of my concerns, as since I got the radio program, is, and I'm thinking I have you through through the media
Department.
Yes. So what should I say the last part?
And
and the concern is that we need more principals and administrative positions from Hispanic people in our schools.
Yes, and that's something that I hear all the time in the radio, that they need this personnel there, and it is important for the parents to feel comfortable when they approach to the authorities, because sometimes they don't have the confidence and they think that they are not going to be listened. And this is some of the issues that is very important for the parents right now. Another topic is that inside the schools, the parents and the kids are experiencing some kind of bullying, and from the ethnicity from they come from. And sometimes even the kids have shame to say where they come, to be to the fear to be bullied. So this is one of the concerns of the parents, and also how we can preserve the Hispanic education and the culture inside of the schools programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Ian Blake and Jean Weisner.
I don't believe that I'm going to have all the time to read my full remarks, so can I submit them for the record?
Sure.
Wherever they go.
You can go ahead and start, and the clerk will come down and get them for me.
Sure. I'd like to start by saying thank you to the school board for the application of the security guards. I was really concerned beforehand, and I really appreciate how they've been implemented. I'd also like to echo and support the statements of Ms. Calloway and also the work of Brother Carl. The water that we swim in is a phrase that connotes an unquestioned environment, a circumstance so pervasive as to almost be invisible. I suggest that white supremacy and the patriarchy are part of that pervasive environment. I grew up in South Florida. I attended School of the Arts and Suncoast High School, two highly regarded academic institutions, and my education in American history was sorely lacking. As a society, we have been adequate in condemning public lynching and cross burnings, but we are remiss in telling the story of the events themselves and the context in which they took place. Indeed, when the subject of racism is broached, retorts such as, "That was a long time ago," are often invoked as a means of distancing the speaker from their personal involvement, implicit or otherwise, in the structural discrimination that handicaps non-white citizens. This ego defense mechanism belies the reality that Southern plantation owners were given $300, approximately $4,700 in today's currency, reparations per slave that was freed, the explicit exclusion of non-whites from the GI benefits after World War II, Jim Crow laws that in many regards still exist today, redlining, unequal mandatory minimum sentencing regarding powder versus crack cocaine, and general unequal treatment by the criminal justice system. All these examples and more compound generationally and manifest in the modern wealth inequality. I'll skip ahead to my requests. I have 3 specific requests for this august body. First, I am aware that my words may be confronting, but uncomfortable is not the same as untrue. If there is a rejection of a particular statement I have made here, I request that you examine the claim and identify the falsehood. If none can be found, kindly work on incorporating the concept into your understanding. Second, the sanitized history we tell about ourselves and our country actively perpetuates tension in our communities. We must do better. We can do better. You are so charged. Third, I do not know the degree to which media studies and critical studies have been incorporated into the curriculum of the county. I recognize that students and teachers have their focus drawn in multiple directions at all times. However, I only see this trend increasing, raising the importance of critical theory and discernment. If it is not already on your radar, please investigate media studies and critical theory as an option to incorporate. If this curriculum already exists, kindly see it proliferate. I thank you for your time and for the opportunity to speak.
Yes, sir. Would you please state your name for the record?
Ian Blake.
Okay, thank you very much. Jean Weisner. Sharon Rowe.
Good evening, board member. Good evening, Dr. Fenelon. My name is Weisner Jean, once again. I'm so glad to be here tonight to speak on behalf of the application that I have been applied for position so many times, and I would like the board member heard my voice, and where some of you probably already know me because I had followed all the administrative procedure. And one of the things I want to point out, I have been applied on prior of the school district back in 2014, and as electrician, I'm a licensed Palm Beach County licensed electrician, and I've been working in Zone 9, North Shop, and doing the whole time. By the way, I'm a father of 2 children. I'm married, so I have a family to raise. Doing the whole time, and I've been going to school to succeed myself and my family, and the whole time, and I have applied so many times for a position. I have not gotten interviewed, and that's one of the reasons I'm here, for one of you at least heard my voice, to looking at my application, why I have been blackballed, why I have been blacked out, and I have not getting a position where I have all my qualification and all the requirements they ask and all the classes school board offer. I have it like electrical safety and workplace training, National Fire Protection Agency. I have went to the class SREF class. I have complete 8 hours fire marshal. I have complete 8 hours maintenance educational facility, chapter 5. And moreover, I have earned back in 2017 a bachelor degree in management. And I have applied for a position named a leader support operation. And I know for a fact I have met all the requirements, and I would like to know why I never get interviewed. And I have seen people who have been in the system less than I, and they were promoted, and they get they have promoted on the higher level. I want to know. I would like one of you tonight to looking at my resume and why I have not even the interview. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon Rowe, I called her name. Is Sharon Rowe here? All right, board members, unless you have anything else, Mr. Superintendent?
No, sir.
We need a motion to adjourn the meeting. Motion by Mr. Shaw, seconded by Mrs. Brill. Any discussion? All in favor, all opposed. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned.